Alright guys, you already know what time it is. It's time for some more unused test rooms. And thankfully, Paper Mario has quite a few, so let's jump right in. First up is a room referenced as Machi, which can apparently be translated from Japanese to mean town. This room acts as sort of a hub area to other test rooms, but this room also has a few interesting things. As soon as you enter this room, you will notice a star rod that you can talk to. Unfortunately though, talking to it will cause the game to crash. One thing you've probably noticed by now is that things causing the game to crash are a common theme here. Next up on the left, you can see a small and large treasure chest, both likely just used to test opening mechanics. The small chest is empty, but the large one will have a hammer that will again cause the game to crash upon Mario receiving it. And moving along, we can find several blocks as well as switches, again likely used for testing. Near this big blue switch, Miss Star can be seen, but upon Mario getting close to her, she will fly away. Next, there are interactive sprites of both Colorado and a regular Koopa NPC. Although they won't say anything when interacted with, talking to the Koopa will set Mario's max HP to 8, while Colorado will do the same, but set it to 11 instead. At the center of the map, you will find 5 mushroom items sitting in a row, as well as Goomba just chilling in the middle. His sprite appears to react like any enemy would in the game if you jump on him or hit him with a hammer. You can also walk right through him, which apparently just counts as several hits in a row. Yep, you read that right. In the middle of this area is the title Mario RPG. Now for those of you that don't know, Paper Mario was initially supposed to be a direct sequel to the SNES classic Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, and it was initially supposed to be titled Super Mario RPG 2. But after certain complications, the game was renamed to Mario RPG 64, then to Super Mario Adventure, and then finally to Paper Mario outside of Japan. An original title screen of the game when it was still called Super Mario RPG 2 still exists as well. And while we're talking about it, it's really cool to see just how much Paper Mario has evolved during its development. From different user interfaces to even an entire different art style, many things were changed. Anyways, let's get back to the test rooms. Since the ground still has the original title, it is likely that this area was developed really early in the game's development stage. By now you probably also noticed that the numbers in this room look familiar. And you should, because they are the exact same number textures as seen in Super Mario 64. These numbered paths will either A, do nothing, B, take you to a later area in the game such as Mount Rugged or Crystal Palace, or C, take you to another test room, and I'm sure you'll agree that is the most interesting out of the 3, so let's keep going.
Going through exit 7 will bring you into the room referenced as TST_01. In this room we can see the classic checkerboard flooring seen in many test rooms. There's also a few question mark blocks as well as a few hidden blocks containing either hearts or flowers. The next room over, TST_02, is another small room only containing a staircase, some blocks that have already been hit, as well as another set of small and large chests. This time these chests are both empty. Kinda boring, but moving on to the next area we can find some more interesting stuff. First of all, it seems that Mario no longer needs sushi in this area, as he can now apparently just walk on water. And not only that, but he can even clip underneath the bridge here. It's kinda weird really. Across the first bridge you can see several blocks, including the heart and save blocks. There's also a POW and a super block here as well. Hitting the POW block unfortunately does nothing, and hitting the super block will yet again crash the game. And that's not all. In the same room there are also pits of spikes and lava that Mario must cross. Falling into either one of them will hurt Mario of course, but it'll also hurt your soul because, you guessed it, it crashes the game too. Is there anything that doesn't crash the game in this game? I'm not so sure.
Wow, that's a lot of game crashing bugs, huh? Anyways, now on to room TST_4. This room is when things get a bit peculiar. As you can already see, this room has Mario mirrored along the center of the area, likely to be a test for the mirroring used in Crystal Palace later in the game. This room also contains a set of rotating platforms, as well as one that moves up and down. Goomba and a red switch are also found here, but neither seem to really do anything. You can't move on from this room, so it's back to using more codes to access the rest of the rooms. So next up is room TST_10, and this room is a large open area. This room has 4 colored arrows pointing you to walk around the area, and doing so will cause the camera to rotate. This area was likely to have been used to test the camera rotation mechanics used in the final game.
Next is what appears to be an early version of the Crystal Palace. This time the reflections get even crazier, as now 3 Mario can be seen. You can even walk into the mirror, so it's often hard to keep track of which one is the real Mario. Oh, and look at that! There's even a fourth Mario seen stuck inside the floor. This all seems like someone's bad dream, and I'm really not sure that that's supposed to look like that. But okay, gonna hand it right back to you, Tetra.
The next room is another weird one. In room TST_13, there are two notable things. First, this weird ripple-like effect that distorts the ground wherever you go. And secondly, there's this long lineup of Koopas. But wait. These aren't any ordinary Koopas. They're your partners? Yup, for whatever reason, by interacting with these Koopas, they will transform into each of Mario's partners and 3 copies of Lackluster. Your guess as to why this is a thing is as good as mine. This room also lets you walk off the edge, which normally just respawns Mario back on the floor, but sometimes it can get really messy with the camera.
And would you believe it, the oddities don't stop there. TST_20 is a large room containing various random warp pipes which do absolutely nothing. Great! One thing that is noteworthy about this room is the cool floor texture you can see here, which actually goes unused in the rest of the game, although it is similar to the one used in the Shooting Star Summit.
And the last discovered test room is by far the biggest. Referenced in the game as MGM_3, this room was likely one of the very first rooms to have been made, as all it has is various 3D modeled shapes. There are what appear to be 3 half spheres in the middle of the area, each with a different amount of polygons used, a small blue cylinder on the left edge, and a larger red cylinder on the right edge of the area, which can be seen going through the floor. And lastly, a huge hollowed out purple cylinder towards the back of the area, which you can try walking on. Now this isn't confirmed, but my guess would be that this was one of the very first rooms that the developers used to play around with the 3D modeling capability of the engine the game was developed on. Nonetheless, it's really cool that it was left over in the game's files for us to eventually find.